What is coaching and why does somebody need it?
Coaching is really looking forward and focusing on the goal that you want to achieve.
So what are some of the blind spots that you find that business owners have, and what do you do to help them with those?
The number one is that for them, their business is not related to their personal life.
Who is coaching perfect for? Like, what's the ideal candidate? Someone listening to this right now and saying, she's speaking to me.
So that person is already self-aware. They have a lot of awareness.
Welcome to the Best of White Rock, where we sit down with the standout business owners, community leaders, and entrepreneurs shaping life here in White Rock and South Surrey for the better. These are their stories behind the people driving real change in our community. Hosted by me, Darren German of the German Group.
Sarah, you have helped so many people find their pathway to greater success in business, greater success in whatever challenges they might be going through. And today we're going to learn not only about what you do, but how you help people overcome so many challenges that they have in business, life, all that sort of stuff. So before we get into all the really good stuff, the exciting stuff, please let everybody know who are you and what do you do?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Sarah. I'm a holistic business coach, speaker. I'm also a yoga teacher and sound bath practitioner. I'm also a mom. I wear many hats, and I work with entrepreneurs. I help them build businesses that feels good and that fits their life.
I love that. Feels good and what fits their life. It's not unique to there's not one thing that's unique to everybody. Everyone's got their own story and they're all trying to get different places. Mm-hmm. So holistic business coach, explain that for me.
Yeah. So it's funny because I was researching this before deciding to move to it, and then it speak to me because I was a life coach first, and then I became a business coach. But then I felt that business side of me was always, I never talked about it, and I was trying to find my place. And in between, I realized that I was both. So I tried finding a word that could really encompass everything. And then I'm very spiritual. I teach yoga, I do sound baths and everything. And I use a lot of mindfulness practices. And I work a lot on nervous system regulation as well. And so the holistic just kind of like came by itself. And because I work with the whole person.
I love that. I love that. So when people come to you for business coaching, actually, let's shake off some of the chains that people think about coaching. And you're specific to business coaching, and life coaching was your previous, but it's more business now. What is coaching, and why does somebody need it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So coaching is very different from therapy. Sometimes a lot of people kind of like, for me, I'm a huge proponent of like coaching and therapy. I have a therapist, I have a coach, and coaching is really looking forward and focusing on the goal that you want to achieve and taking actions. Why people would need coaching? For everything, for every part of their life. You can need coaching as much as like you're gonna need coaching for working out. Well, you can need coaching for your mindset or for like launching a business. Just like, for example, for me, I like to take that when you wanna become, work in a certain job, you're gonna get certification, you're gonna, get to school, and to get all the skills you need to be able to perform in that area. Well, a coach can do the same with you and obviously help the process a little faster to unlock all of these skills that you might not be using.
Yeah, I guess when you use it like sports examples or a gym example, when people get involved in something, they're just so much in their own head that they can't step back and see things for the bigger picture oftentimes. Mm-hmm. I've always kind of thought of it like we've all had that friend, hopefully it's not happened to any of us, but we've all had that friend that's maybe been in that terrible relationship, mm-hmm. and they just don't see it until they're actually out of it because they're too in the day-to-day of it, right? They're too kind of clouded by what's happening at all times. And their friends are like, do you not see what's happening here? You know, like this is a problem. This isn't good, right? And until they step back and they can see it from a different lens, a different perspective, maybe, well, that's kind of where that coaching element almost comes in. It's like, you know, I can see this from a different perspective, a different area than you, and I can help you with that.
Exactly. So it will help uncover some blind spots.
Yeah. So what are some of the blind spots that you find that business owners have, and what do you do to help them with those?
Yeah, so the number one is that for them, their business is not related to their personal life.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that if something is blocking in business, they don't think it's related to their mindset. They think it's probably not their offer, like maybe, and sometimes it could be, obviously, but, or the product that is not good, or the market that is not good. But most of the time, we realize that it's just not the right strategy for them based on their person, based on their being. So that's one of like the blind spot that I often find. The other one is in business who they actually want to work with. Many of my clients will come and think that, oh, I'm this type of coach, or I'm this type of entrepreneurs, and I do this, and I work with this type of person. And then, but they're not signing any client, they're not making any consistent revenue. And so we're trying to look at the whole picture. And then at the end of the day, we realize that they were not talking to the right ideal client,
Right.
the right target audience. And so, and then when they realize that when it clicks, who they can picture their clients, then they know who they're talking to. And so, and then they start selling.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to pick on that one in a moment, but I want to go back to the first kind of blind spot that you had mentioned about the alignment with who they are and how they show up, and tying that to the results. Can you give me an example of maybe somebody, you know, no names, of course, but can you give me an example of maybe a story of where somebody kind of showed up in that way, and how that played out?
Yes, for sure. So I have a few examples, but I had this client that was part of like a group coaching that was leading, and she was an executive from a corporate company, and she just got certified as a coach, and she wanted to launch her business, but she didn't want to make her business part of like her corporate environment or even her family. Like for her, it was two separate things. She didn't want to talk about it. I didn't push her, and we kept working on her business. And then she realized that at some point, both can coexist. And that literally in the months when the shift started happening, she signed multiple like contracts, and one with her company.
Wow.
To actually teach and like coach in her company, and then started like sharing on social media and with her family and like her circle. And like she had the most like successful result in like such a short period of time after she unlocked something in her mindset. Because for her, it was like, oh no, I don't want them to think that, oh, I'm doing something on the side, or it's not very important, or like I have this big corporate like job, and I cannot be this other person on the side. And then both person can coexist. And so she was able to fully do it.
Yeah, and that's almost like an identity challenge, right? Like not wanting to kind of mix the paint colors of you know, person I am when I go home with my family, and the person who I am when I want to create and run this business. Why is that a hang up for some people? Like what do you think that is?
I think that maybe because of the reputation coaches have been getting over the years, especially after COVID. You know, there's so many coaches now. And if you're coming, especially from a financial background, or like, you know, more like corporate, very heavy background, like obviously they recognize like the benefit of coaching, but more like executive coaching or things like that. And so being a life coach or being like, is less important to them. So, and as I mentioned, there's so many coaches now that it's like, oh, it's popping up everywhere. So why? Like, you know, why you? Why are you better than anyone? What makes you different? And so I think that those misconceptions are mixed with actual good coaches because of all not great coaches out there that started working since COVID.
Yeah, and I want to get into that in a moment, because there is a lot of misconceptions, I think, that people have about coaching and what coaches do and how they show up, and really how they help people. And you had made a comment, though, in your earlier story that I wanted to kind of pick on a little bit. And we're talking about coaches in my real estate business. I am also a real estate coach, so I kind of see that, what you're talking about. When you made the comment that you don't push people, and that's a really important piece about coaching, is to not push people, because there's a reason why you don't. In your eyes, what's important about not pushing them versus, you had also said something clicked for them?
Well, I don't push them in a way where they feel like totally uncomfortable or in fear, but I do push them outside of their comfort zone.
Yes.
Obviously, because that's the whole goal. And I think that's also what most of my clients likes about me. I have that directness because I'm French, so very straightforward, but also very compassionate and warm with them. But let's say we agreed on something, they decided to do something, and life happened, and they were not able to do it. Well, I understand. I have a life too, like you were sick, you had kids, anything. But that doesn't mean that I won't keep them accountable for
Right.
it. They're still going to be follow up with them and everything. So I think that you can get people to do something without pushing them, because, well, if you push them, then it's not really natural. And then they might do it, but then will it last?
Yeah, and that's where I was kind of going with that, is that, when I have an idea and I push it on you, well, then it still belongs to me. And you might decide to try it. You might decide not to. It might alienate you, and you have your values, or you know what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And it's still my idea, and it maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. But the difference of what I heard you say there is when it clicked as well. So when you, rather than the idea of pushing, when you pull that out of somebody, and it's now your idea, not my idea. And well, the differences with that is now you own it.
Yeah.
And you own it, and it becomes your identity. And well, you say you want to do something. I go, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Tell me, why do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Do you think you could do that?
Yes.
Well, if you were going to do that, when would you do that? Why would you do that? That sort of thing. And what's that like for you as a coach when you see people get to that kind of, I understand now.
Yeah.
I get it.
I love these moments, actually, because I'm I was literally thinking this in my head, and you just pull the words out of my mouth. And so when I see my client having kind of that light bulb moment or that breakthroughs, I'm so happy, because I'm yes, it's happening, and they're going to do it, and I know they're going to do it. And it's funny, because on my way here, one of my clients just texted me, and he finally did something that we just discussed in a session, and I was smiling driving. I was yes, he's doing it. And yeah, I love seeing results and transformation. That's the best part of my job.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a proud parent moment, I'm sure, right? Especially when you see somebody struggling with something, and oftentimes it's an identity shift. It's they came in with this identity, this cloak, this mask, this hat on that they think they wear, and to understand that they don't have to wear that. They can show up differently. What are some things that you find that people come in with to you, and they've got this story they're telling themselves that's just not true,
Yeah.
or they believe to be true, and maybe there is versions of it that are true, but it's often inside them.
Yeah. One of the common ones is I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. What do you mean?
Yeah, oh, I'm just not ready to launch this. I'm not just ready to, be on camera, because, oh, I don't have a website. I don't have an offer. I don't have a clear Instagram page. There's always something. So they're using I'm not ready, when actually it's just little things that are stopping them. And it's just mindset blocks. They think they're not ready, but you don't have to be ready. You just have to do it, and then the readiness will come.
Yeah.
So I think it's mostly lack of confidence that they don't obviously realize that they have. And then the more they start doing things, the more they feel more comfortable, and then they're able to do so many amazing and beautiful things after that.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, isn't it? It's almost like, back to your analogy at the start with going to the gym and having a trainer at the gym. And I often think of in terms of repetitions. And of course, the first time you're going to be a little clunky, but you never get to that mastery or looking like a professional, or at least showing up and looking competent, until you get past that first step of looking clunky, or whether it's building your website or just getting started. How, or better, maybe better said, why do you think that we have this identity of it's maybe not for me, and therefore I'm not ready, I'm going to try avoiding it? Where do you think that comes from?
I think it comes from society, to be honest, and the way we were raised. It really depends on the way you were conditioned as a kid. Or the people that you look up to, online, you see all of these polished, perfect content out there. And so you think, oh, I need to be like this to make it, or that they had success overnight, because we only see the after, and we don't see the messy in between and before. So I think we're comparing ourselves to all of these great people, but that it doesn't happen like in a night, so overnight. And so I think that comparison society makes us think that we need to do this, we need to be even more and more that. And then, especially if you are someone that is not necessarily outgoing, or that was not confident growing up, then it's even more challenging to launch a business, because, like, I love to say that, but like, if you if you launch a business, like, it's like starting therapy, basically. Obviously, you do need therapy, but it comes and it's gonna poke you in so many ways that you're not gonna realize it. And if you don't overcome it, then it won't work.
Yeah, and for those people that maybe choose not to get past that point, because maybe not everybody gets there, or you know better, but maybe not everybody actually gets to that point where they feel like, I can't, or I'm not deserving, or I'm not ready, or whatever. What do you see happens to them? What do they experience?
Well, most of the time they would either like go back to a regular job, so like they would go back to, which is completely fine, you have to pay the bills. So, but I think that, and I would never push someone, like, if they're not ready. For me, when they're ready, they will come. But then they would just, like, keep doing their life in a way that is not necessarily the way that they imagined, but it's what feels safe for them.
Yeah, I like that you said that. Like, how much of what you do is mindset versus action? What would you say?
I would say 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and which one comes first?
Well,
Or does something come first?
Well, it's funny because sometimes I get some client and they come and they're like, I want to work on business. I was like, fine, let's work on your business and your business ID. And then we started working on the business, and then we're like, hold on, like, why don't you go and do that? Why aren't you doing that? And then we start exploring. I'm like, okay, let's go back to mindset. And then with other people, we start with mindset, and then it evolved into business. And then we're like, okay, we're ready. Like, the mindset is good now. Like, I think you're ready to launch it. And so let's look into business. And sometimes just like in between, we start with business and then we go back to mindset, and we kind of like balance it out. It really depends on the person.
Well, it seems like there's a big dance there too, oftentimes, because every time you're kind of progressing and maybe trying something new, there's also a belief that has caused you maybe to not, whether it's consider it, act on it, do it, that sort of thing. And it's kind of shaking that identity that we were talking about earlier, and saying, you are worthy of this, you are capable, you are smart, you have the resources to do it. Now let's go try it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's do it. And I'm gonna maybe check in 2 weeks and see if you actually did it, which scares the hell out of people, right? How does that accountability play in for the people that you've helped? Like, do they look forward to it? Are they terrified of it? How do you see that show up?
You know what? Like, they're not terrified because they know me. Like, I'm not like, I'm not like a sport coach or like soccer coach, like yell at you, and I know not all the coaches are sports coaches are like that, but it's like, I come into this session and they know I'm going to check in. And if before even I do it, they just share it with me, so it makes the process very like smooth. So they tell me, like I was able to do this and that. And sometimes they don't talk about it. I just ask very casually, so were you able to do that? And they're like, oh yeah, I did it. I was like, oh, well, why didn't you tell me before? Like, that's amazing. So let's celebrate that. So yeah, it's just like, I really don't pressure them onto that. Like, they know I'm here, they know I'm gonna check in. Sometimes I even do it by email. It's like the session is like longer after like we saw each other's, but most of the time they're very responsible and they will tell me themselves.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, and that's an important piece of it too. Is the what I notice in my sessions is like people they'll say they'll do something, but sometimes, and I'm sure you get this too. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Is they say things because they think that's what you want to hear.
I'm very lucky because like they won't tell me things that I want to hear because I tell them like I'm like, you're not here to please me. Like, I want you to be you and to tell me really what's going on and like why aren't you doing it? Why you don't want to get into that space? And so they know that it's a very safe space for them to be able to share everything. It's confidential also.
Right.
So like they can really trust that in the relationship.
Yeah, well, and that confidentiality and that comfortability too is really, really important. Like, you're looking for people to open up to you, to really be vulnerable. And that's a big piece of it, because in lieu of them not being vulnerable and really telling you what's going on, I'm sure it's really difficult to actually help them.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel that way as well. When it comes to coaching, what do you think prevents people from getting into coaching? And not that like, what do you think prevents people from getting into coaching as like somebody who recognizes they need help, but they're hesitant or they choose not to? What do you think that is?
I think it's probably if we're not looking at price points, because there are so many price points like in coaching, I think it would really be for them to kind of like see the use of a coach, and see the difference with other like practitioner or specialists that they could use. So I think that they have to see the necessity of like, why would I need coaching? Why would I have a coach? I can do it myself. And that's the thing is like, especially when someone is launching a business, for example, and I see that all the time. So most of my clients, they tried a few things and then they come to me. And so when you get to I was talking earlier to when you want to become, I don't know, a journalist or any career that you choose, you decide to train yourself to be able to perform in that area. And so, but when you launch a business, what makes you think, if you have no business experience, that you can just launch it? But so many people do it. And most people that actually did it will tell you it's not easy. But a lot of people think that, oh, it's so easy, so why would I need a coach? But then they start hitting a wall and they realize, oh, I might actually need help. And then we're so overwhelmed by so many coaches, like marketing coach, sales coach, this, that, in-mail list coach, like which one? There's so much noise. So which one is the one for us? And I mean, the only way to figure it out is to try things out and to see.
Yeah, and what's your experience with people that get involved with coaching and are looking for what I often call the silver bullet? I'll give you an example. Like in the real estate world, people want opportunity. So like, what can I do with the least amount of friction and energy and at the cheapest price, generate opportunity so I can go meet people to go, help them transact in real estate, right? Like, that's the ideal, it's easy, right? Like, that's the hard part, or one of the hard parts about selling real estate in this example is that opportunity to meet people. But they want that magic bullet, that easy, just I call it a tee shot. Like, it's just lined up perfectly. It's easy to do, easy to implement. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, they want like instant like results basically. So
which is totally not what coaching is nor is it what is it about. Like, you may have a tool to help them with that, but it's
so funny because I had a few clients kind of like this, and especially in group programs, where part of like one of my online programs was that they had to launch a masterclass in order to sell their offer. And so I had one client and she launched like her masterclass, and then she came back and she was like, I didn't get any results. I was like, okay, so let's analyze it. And then I look at the numbers, like how many registration, how did you promote it? How many did you follow up? Was there a recording that was sent before, after? And then she hasn't checked any of these boxes. And I was like, well, you said there was 6 registration. It's not a lot if you're looking, but how many showed up? 3. 50% actually showed up. So that's, you could have converted at least one person. Did you follow up? And she hadn't done any of this. And so I was like, what are you actually looking for? And she's like, oh, just want you to help me get, like, maybe you can refer me client. I'm like, but that's not the whole point of it. Like, because I can refer you client, but then when I'm not there, who will?
Yeah, it's that whole teach somebody to fish versus just catching the fish for them and helping them set up for future success. It's interesting you say that, because I would assume there's a version that everybody kind of maybe that's even initially what brings them into the conversation of coaching is, I recognize I'm struggling with something, and give me that instant gratification. And sometimes there is things like that. There is a, to your point, instant gratification. Well, did you follow up with the people that came through the mastery class? No. Well, that's a big lost opportunity,
Yeah,
right? Like that could be an example of a tee shot, but you're also building these actions and habits and this mindset and belief system that there's a different way and a better way of maybe doing this that you can see, but maybe they can't. And one of the values that I want your opinion on this is, I feel people fail to realize that you see this every day because that's what you do. So like if I was a golf instructor, as an example, I just met a golf instructor. I'm a terrible golfer. Doesn't align well with what I do for work, right? You're supposed to be good at golf and real estate. But I went and met a golf instructor. I thought the purpose of golf was just to smack that thing as hard as you could and hope it went straight, right? And this is somebody, in comparing it to what you do, this is somebody who watches people swing a golf club every single day. And after spending 15 minutes with this person, and it's not to say that I'm a great golfer now, that's certainly not what I'm saying, but after 50 minutes of spending, I was shooting a little bit further, a little bit straighter, because he sees this every single day. This is what he does. And that's what makes me think of what you do with like business coaching is my problem when I come to you feels really unique to me. It's a big deal to me. I'm in the thick of it. I've never seen it. I've never experienced it. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. It's foggy. I can't see everything. Where do you come in?
Yeah. Well, I try to remove that fog, first of all. Try to understand where is that fog coming from. And then we work on whatever you want to work on. I have like a specific method that I use. I work a lot with like servicepreneurs mostly, but most of the time, for example, like as I was mentioning earlier, they would have been in business for at least a year, but no consistent clients. So we would try to work on how to bring consistent client every month, how to have your offer aligned with what you want to offer, but also that fits your schedule. Because if you're only meeting people one-on-one and you're exhausted, well, you cannot scale it. So we will work on how to scale your business at some point. But at first, let's try to get you some clients first, and also get people to actually know you and know what you do, and you also knowing what you do. Because most of them, when I ask them, they're not able to say out loud really like what they do. And that complicates a lot of things, because if you don't even know what you do, how people can.
Yeah, and you touched on something lightly there that I want you to dig a little bit deeper on. You talked kind of about the business that you actually want to have, and that's often something that a lot of business people struggle with, or maybe they don't see, is they see certain examples of what other people are doing, and they think, okay, well, I'll go model that, but that is the life I'm accepting. That's not true. That's not necessarily the case. So talk to me a little bit about creating the business that you want versus the business that you think you should receive.
Yes, well, the business that people think they should have is, you need to hustle and hustle and hustle in order to like be successful. And I don't say that hustling is bad, but it's a decision. Maybe it will help you get faster results, or like, but you might burn out along the way. You want overnight success. Well, maybe hustling can help. But then if you want like slow but steady success, then you don't have to hustle. Like you can choose to work like a few days per week. If you want to have only a few clients to have time for yourself, for your kids, for your life, then you can do it. And so a lot of people, and yes, it will be slower for sure, but then it's possible. And that's something that I teach is that, well, it really depends on what you want. Like if you want like high income super fast, then yes, you can like hustle like every day and grind. But then if you want a peaceful life and a peaceful business and like a business that works for your life and not the other way around, then it's going to be a little bit slower. Doesn't mean that it's going to take years and years, but it will take its time.
Yeah, I love what you said there, and it's even so, like you're sometimes in a business, you're in a season, right? And a season is, I'm in a season of I'm a new business owner, and I do need to do that hustle, but at the same time, we can have that conversation around I don't want to do that hustle forever, and how do we build this so it's a business that supports my lifestyle rather than a lifestyle that I have to be forced upon me to support my business. And there's a big difference in that a lot of people, when they get that and they click with that, it's like that light bulb moment. And that's, and I know for you, that's such a rewarding piece of what you do is when they see the, I don't know if I'm saying this saying right, the forest through the trees, they can step back and see it from that 30,000 feet and go, there's something else out there for me. It's better. It's better than what I could have had.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because exactly like you were saying, like when you start as a business, you might need to hustle. And like it doesn't mean that, and I love to use that word like slowpreneurship. It's something that, but slowpreneurship, like it's not about like being always slow. It's about like maybe some days you're going to have to hustle because it's high season for you. You have more contract, more gigs like that months, but then the balance is that you are able to return to that balance like later on, like the next months will be better, or like it will be like slower so you can actually rest. So it's really like a play between like a balance in between both.
Yeah.
But not all the time.
Yeah, I love that. And, it's got me thinking a little bit too. And like in your mind, who is coaching perfect for? Like, what's the ideal candidate? Someone listening to this right now and saying, she's speaking to me. What would you say to that?
So that person is already self-aware. They have a lot of awareness. So that's the step number one. So they know that they have some blocks. They know that they could do better. They trust themselves, but they don't know how to do it. But they already know, like, this is blocking me. I have a mindset that is not a growth mindset, and so that's the first, I would say, stage for them, because if they're not self-aware, that it's very, very hard to work with them. At least for myself, I did in the past, but the clients that I've been attracting lately, and I'm very grateful for that, they're already in a stage where they already know like that there's something holding them back, and they want to get to the next level. And so they're very open and flexible.
Yeah, and to me, those are the people that are listening to this right now, and they're feeling that internal tension right now, and they're saying, I maybe should go onto our website, but I don't know. Maybe it's not for me, but it is for them, because to your point, they're feeling that way. They're feeling that way, and that's that self-awareness that you're talking about. They're recognizing something's not working, and I know there could be more there. I know I could be better in it, and that's the time to start exploring it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I got a question for you, a personal one. What's the hardest part for you about being a coach?
So for me, today or when I started, like overall?
I would just say, a day-to-day struggle that you find yourself coming back to often.
I feel it's more as an entrepreneur. So more than as a coach. The fact that I moved in White Rock 3 years ago.
And telling by your accent, you weren't born here.
Yes,
I think people
exactly.
are picking that up. Yeah.
Yes, I'm from France.
Yeah.
And so we used to live in Montreal. We moved here, and I had a community in Montreal. We lived there for 10 years. And so I feel that the hardest part of being a solopreneur is, for me, the community. Like I don't really have friends that are entrepreneurs.
It's a lonely role.
Exactly.
It's a lonely role. And I love that. I love that you said that, because that often to me, like I have a coach as well for my real estate business, and my business is a lonely business, even though I'm with people as you are all day long. That's what we do. We're engaging with people all day long. But when you're the owner or the the owner operator, the solopreneur, it's a lonely business. It's a lonely business. And you have these times where you just want to ask a question to get out of your own head, and you're ruminating about these things going on. And to have somebody like you in their corner to, what's your opinion on this? Or what would you do? Or how would you handle this? And they're thinking about going down path A, which oftentimes is the wrong path, because they're thinking maybe emotionally, not strategically, or how the client might receive that conversation or whatever that is. And you're there to just, hey, I've seen people like you here before. Maybe, what's your thoughts on trying it this way? Yeah, it's a pretty special thing that you're able to do for people. So if people want to learn more about how you can help them, because they're listening to this right now and they're feeling that internal tension because they're self-aware, as you said, and they're saying, I think I should reach out to Sarah, even if not just for a conversation, right?
Yeah.
To explore further. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the first step, they can go into my website. It's sarahmartinezcoaching.com. And then I'm very available on Instagram as well, at the Holistic Business Coach, and they can start from there.
That's awesome. And we'll make sure all your information is linked in the show notes as well. Sarah, you've helped a ton of people find success, find a pathway, incorporate their business to work with the lifestyle that they want to enjoy and live. And, I know the people that you've been able to help are very grateful for that. So I want to thank you for being on the Best of White Rock. And I'm going to encourage everybody listening to this that they reach out if they're feeling that internal struggle right now and they're sitting there staring at the screen being like, they're talking about me. It's a good time to consider reaching out.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome.